The favelas of Rio de Janeiro are known for their violence and struggles. But even among these hard streets, some stories stand out, ones that make you question everything you thought you knew about choice, fate, and the razor's edge between redemption and ruin. This is one such story. In 2015, a young woman stands before her church congregation, her voice lifted in praise. Her arms, once used to brandish weapons, now cradle a Bible. A tattoo on her skin proclaims faith in God. For a moment, it seems like a fairy tale ending. Fast forward 6 years. The same woman lies dead in a street in the favela, gun in hand, surrounded by shell casings and shattered dreams. Her name was Rayane Nazaré Cardoso da Silveira. But to the criminals, cops, and citizens of Rio, she was known simply as Hello Kitty. This is her story. Rayane, or Rayane in English, grew up in Morro da Ilha da Conceição, a neighborhood in Niterói right next to Rio de Janeiro. As a teenager, she was your typical church-going girl. She was active in her local evangelical church and even sang in the youth group. But things took a turn for the worse when she got involved with a guy who was mixed up in the drug trade. Before long, Rayane was dipping her toes into criminal activities. She started small, committing robberies along the highway, the RJ14, near the Nova Grécia and Novo México communities in São Gonçalo. That's another city close to Rio for those of you who aren't familiar with the area. In 2015, Hello Kitty tried to turn her life around. She went back to the church and even tattooed her forearm with the words Fé em Deus, which means faith in God. She posted on social media about how she used to carry guns, but now her weapon was her Bible. It seemed like she was really trying to change. Around this time, she got pregnant and had a baby boy. You'd think that'd be enough to keep her on the straight and narrow, right? Well, unfortunately, it wasn't that simple. Hello Kitty ended up going back to her old ways. She started robbing again, this time with her boyfriend riding on the back of his black motorcycle. She got arrested, but since it was her first offense, she was released. By 2018, she had racked up quite a record and was wanted by the police. Then, in 2019, tragedy struck. Her boyfriend was killed during a robbery in Minas Gerais. This seemed to be a turning point for Hello Kitty, but not in the way you might expect. Instead of scaring her straight, it pushed her deeper into the criminal world. She left Ilha da Conceição and found a new home in the Sabão favela in São Lourenço, Niterói. This is where she really dove headfirst into the criminal lifestyle. She started working as an armed security in the drug trade, and she wasn't shy about it either. She'd post pictures on social media showing off weapons, glorifying crime, and even taunting the police, saying they'd never catch her. But Hello Kitty didn't stay in Sabão for long. She moved to São Gonçalo, where she met a guy named Alessandro Luiz Vieira Muro, also known as 20 anos or 20 years. This guy became like a father figure to Hello Kitty in the criminal world. She even tattooed his name on her arms. Now, 20 years is a guy who has a lot of history. He was part of Rio de Janeiro's infamous Red Command criminal faction and had been running things in Nova Grécia since the early 2000s. He got arrested in 2008, but when he got out on what's called the semi-open regime in 2017, he escaped and went right back into his old stomping grounds. Around this time, there was a war going on between different factions for control of the Correia communities in São Gonçalo. 20 years ended up switching sides from the Red Command to another of Rio's deadly criminal factions, the Amigo dos Amigos or Friends of Friends gang. Then he eventually went back again to the Red Command, and each time he did this, Hello Kitty followed him. This is where Rayane really started to make her name for herself as Hello Kitty. She became known as the Lady of the Red Command and was gaining more and more power within the organization. She was so notorious, they even made a song about her that's called a funky proibidão song It's a kind of gangster music that's illegal to play over public radio stations. Hello Kitty was a regular at all the funky parties in São Gonçalo. She started dating a girl named DJ Isa, a rising musician and social media influencer. But this new relationship didn't stop Rayane from taking to the front lines with 20 years, the both of them not hesitating to take out their enemies. Soon, the police began offering $200 for information on Hello Kitty's whereabouts. She was wanted for robbery, execution, criminal association, and drug trafficking. She was at 20 years' side during all his violent territorial incursions, including a stint in the Salgueiro complex, where they teamed up with another criminal called Antonio Hilario Ferreira, also known as Rabicó or Stubtail. But as we all know, this kind of lifestyle doesn't usually end well. On July 16, 2021, Hello Kitty and 20 years were killed in a confrontation with the São Gonçalo military police. She was only 21 years old. According to police reports, they had taken a family hostage inside the Salgueiro community. When the police showed up, there was a shootout. Hello Kitty, 20 years, and 2 others were shot and taken to the hospital, but they didn't make it. In a twist of irony, just 2 weeks before her death, Hello Kitty had reportedly said she wanted to leave the criminal life behind. She wanted to turn herself in to do her time and then go back to living a normal life. But her friends on the crime side of life talked her out of it, telling her that she was in too deep already. When she died, Hello Kitty had 7 criminal cases against her in the Rio de Janeiro Court of Justice. Her girlfriend, DJ Isa, posted on social media about her death, saying it was the worst pain of her entire life. And that's the story of Hello Kitty. It's a stark reminder of how quickly life can spiral out of control. From a church-going teenager to a notorious criminal, Rayane's life was full of twists and turns that ultimately led to a tragic end. What do you think of Hello Kitty's story? Could things have turned out differently if she had more support or better opportunities? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.